Facebook, and of course YouTube simultaneously. There we go. And so it works now. My name is Ernest. Marcel is in Valsuch in Germany, controlling us digitally from that end. We just had indications from our studio guest that she is on the way. And so anytime from now, Flozy will be right here, live in the studio of Apex One Radio. But before she gets here, we will start their show with our first guest who is ready to join us on radio already. So once again, thank you so much. It is Saturday, the 12th of October 2024, we're live on radio. And so if you have just joined us on Facebook, you may want to share the video so it goes extensively, because what we do is what we call hybrid broadcasting. So I know communication has gone virtual, and there are of course of you out there who would only prefer to do this with us through our social media handles. But for those of you who are addicts of radio streaming, then you can always listen to us on www.apex1radio.com. So I try to share the video as you do well at the on corner of there. Well, then shortly it will be the start of this edition of Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio, during which time we will be talking to a book author and a gospel musician. Flozy will be uh, live with us shortly. So do not go away. This is Apex One Radio. We are live from the United States of America. All right, it's exactly 27 minutes to 12 here in the studio of Apex One Radio as we continue to make sure the video is shared extensively. All right, thank you so much. And so today is Saturday, the 12th of October 2024. My name is Ernest Kanjo once again. Thank you so much and welcome to this fresh edition of Apex Snapshot on Apex One Radio. And like I said, we'll be talking books and, of course, gospel music. I'm talking about books, The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, their journey from an erased childhood to transformed adulthood. That is the title of a new book which has just seen the light of day, and whose author we will be speaking with. Taiwo Akinlami is a child advocate, a writer par excellence, and so he just made public his new book, which is titled The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, Their Journey from an Erased Childhood to Transform Adulthood. It is a comprehensive 21st century manifesto for family strengthening, securing a friendly and protective environment for children, and right-based parenting. Now, this is a lot, right? So we see childhood, we see adulthood, we see child rights, we see parenting, we see the burden of parenting, we see transformed adulthood. So with the author, we will be breaking down these concepts, to the smallest pieces for our understanding, right? And so Taiwo is an expert in children's rights and, of course, parenting. So his book has just been published. It saw the light of day a few weeks ago, and I came across this book for the first time. I actually touched a physical copy of it at the 2024 edition of the New Americans Book Fair, which took place last month, precisely on September the 21st. And so Taiwo comes on radio today to break the book into pieces so we can grasp it, we can understand what this book is all about. And so today we're talking literature on Apex One Radio in the first part of Apex Snapshot at least, and thankfully we have the author of this beautiful piece of work, whose cover you can already see on our screens: Transforming Child Discipline into a Culture of Discipline. Right. So that is the title of the book, as a matter of fact: Transforming Child Discipline into a Culture of Discipline. This should be the other version of it: The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting. Well, when Taiwo comes, he will break all of this down for us. At this point in time, and without much ado, I guess we should just bring our guest on the platform at exactly 24 minutes to 12 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. Taiwo now joins us from the northern belt of the city of Columbus. Taiwo, welcome to the program. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you today, my brother Ernest.
It's a pleasure to have you
Yeah.
back on radio. It's true that you and I have not had a radio conversation for a long time now, perhaps because of our busy schedules. But then
Mm.
we're back on radio today. How are you doing, Taiwo?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm chilling.
Mm. All right, Taiwo is chilling. And like I mentioned in my introduction, you are a child rights advocate. You also are an expert in in parenting. Am I correct?
Very correct.
Mm. Taiwo, as we speak, what is the situation of the African child? Oh, the child as a whole, like globally. Um, is there anything at stake? Are our children doing good? Any threats to their security, to their lives, to their upbringing as we speak?
Okay, well, I posted an article this morning, which I
Mhm,
wrote yesterday when the news of R. Kelly's daughter, stating for the first time yesterday that
mhm,
she was sexually molested while she was growing up by the dad.
mm,
So I took a look at um, personalities, popular personalities
mhm,
who have abused children in recent times. And I was asking the question, where are the safe spaces for children?
mhm,
Now, these are personalities who live in developed countries. Forget
mhm,
about, developing countries or underdeveloped countries. These are countries who boast of civilization, to be
mhm,
the bastions of civilization. Under their noses, children were molested. All the people that I listed in that article are all convicted, felons,
mhm,
convicted for child sexual abuse. And so I began to say that, well, there can be safe spaces for our children until we embrace a systems approach to child safeguarding and protection. The
mhm,
question is, who is a, we talk about this thing a lot,
mhm,
trusted adult, trusted adult. Who is a trusted adult? Is an adult trusted because he's a clergyman?
mm,
We have clergymen who have abused children, or a clergy woman. Is an adult trusted because he's a football coach? We have seen coaches who have abused children. Is an adult trusted because he's a producer in Hollywood? When you watch the documentary uh, uh, Quiet on Set, you will see that there are producers who are supposed to be trusted. Is somebody supposed to be trusted because he's a medical doctor or a medical personnel who swore to the Hippocratic oath? You will see that such people also have abused children. Is somebody supposed to be trusted because he's a father or he's a mother? We've seen fathers who have abused their children. So the only definition of a trusted adult is an adult that has submitted itself to a system, a system of child safeguarding and protection.
mhm,
Under that system, the that adult is subjected to a level of regulation. So that system is either manifesting in a policy or is manifesting in a family constitution where it is clear what constitutes abuse to our children and the things that we need to do, the measures that need to be put in place. Because you see, as someone who I was abused physically, emotionally, sexually growing up, I can tell you for free and first hand that the impact of abuse is eternal, except there's divine intervention. And when we talk about divine intervention, it still means that the one who has been abused must be ready to work, with his maker to find a way forward. So for me, globally today, I think that there is there is lack of sensitization as to how to protect children. That is why in the places you call bastions of civilization, look at Epstein, Jeff Epstein, who ended up committing suicide, as a convicted person in prison. Now, this was somebody who rode with the cream de la cream, the most powerful in society. but he was involved in sexually molesting children, trafficking of children and all of that. But he was able to rise to the topmost of society. So when you look at all of these things, so for me, we need to do more. And what do we need to do? We need to ask ourselves the critical question: how do we protect our precious children, irrespective of where they are, whether they are in the family, whether they are in schools, whether they are in the neighborhood, whether they are in religious place of worship, anywhere they are, we must be able to answer that critical question: how do we protect children? And we're able to say, okay, there are safe spaces for our children.
Taiwo, before you explain to me that an adult who should be trusted, or the only adult who can be trusted, is the one who has submitted himself into a system that regulates what they do, I was thinking differently. I was thinking that every parent has been a child before. I has probably enjoyed the warmth of their parents, and again, there is that natural tendency of parents being so attached and protective of their children, right? And every human being has this warmness towards children. It is natural, it runs in our veins. So what gets into the mind of an adult who is abusive to a child? Is there any biological explanation of that, or
Well,
mystical explanation? I don't understand. I don't know.
well, the first thing is the fact that hurt people do hurt others.
Mm.
People were not properly raised. They have nothing to give. Whenever the society turns to them, if they are not properly raised, their childhood was taken away from them. They don't understand. They were children, but they never experienced childhood.
Mm.
Childhood is a three-component thing. Number one, the fact that childhood is a foundation to be laid. Adulthood is not going to eventuate. Nobody becomes a responsible adult by reason of being born, right? When you nothing in this world appreciates by virtue of just being in existence. There has to be a level of tending. We're in this studio today because we built this studio. We're in this studio today because we chose to be here. If we wish to be on this studio and we're just lying on our bed and just wishing, these wishes are all these beggars will write. Will never come on radio. For everything that leads to progress in life is a subject of human effort. So if you are going to be a responsible adult, the foundation has to be laid in childhood. So number one, childhood is the foundation for adulthood. So some people were children, that foundation was never laid. And that's why when you check the dictionary today, one of the meanings of a child in the dictionary is an adult who behaves like a child. So it means that adulthood is not conferred on you by age. Adulthood is conferred by you by your ability to apply yourself to certain principles that create peace and harmony within the society. You are not a menace to society. You are not a public enemy. Some people are menaces to their families. Some people are menaces to their neighborhood. Now, when I go to pick my letters in the box, there are times we pick up something, they say, there is a pedophile in this environment, a convicted pedophile. He lives in so. When somebody like that moves in the environment, they alert us because such person has become a menace to society. So that's number two thing about childhood is the fact that childhood is a mystery to be studied. It's a mystery to be studied. There's something, I have a 3-year-old. It's going to be 3 in October 25th. It took us, we were married for 15 years before we had that boy. Now, I take a look at him. I keep studying him. I keep trying to understand him. But you see, it's going to be difficult for me to understand him if I don't have a general understanding of what childhood is all about, right? So childhood is a foundation to be laid. It's a mystery to be studied. Then childhood is a gift. It's a gift. Children come to us as gifts. And how do we treat a gift? If you don't know the worth of a gift, how are you going to treat the gift? So for me, we cannot become parents by virtue of the fact that we were parented. Many of us were supposedly parented, we were not parented. Many of us that were properly parented, then we have that legacy from our parents, and we're able to transmit and translate that to our children. But you see, what you have is what you give. We cannot give what we don't have. So the foundational thing, therefore, is that You find people today abusing their children. You find people today ill-treating their children. We find people today who are doing to their children what their parents did to them because they are not even aware of how damaged they are. They're not even aware of the impact of how their children, how their parents raised them on them. So they think they are doing well. Have you seen in Africa when we say that, well, they said I was beaten. I've become who I am today, despite the fact that I was beaten. I went through this, I went through that. So the question is, I ask the question, so you were beaten and you have become who you are. The question is, who have you become? Are you supposed
Childhood.
to have become vis-a-vis who you are supposed to become? And these are fundamental issues that are out there that is important for us to explore.
Many questions to be asked, a lot of issues to be explored, and of course, we are on radio. Childhood is a mystery that has to be studied. It is a gift, and also it is a foundation that has to be laid. We're talking about childhood, adulthood, and of course, parenting on radio today. And our context is these new books published by Taiwo Akinlami, our guest today, The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, The Journey from Erased Childhood to Transform Adulthood. Taiwo is live on radio today, and the show is Apex Snapshots. And the day is Saturday, the 12th of October, 2024. Taiwo, can you just take 30 seconds to tell us your relationship with writing? For how long have you been writing?
Well, I think my first article was published in the newspaper on the 10th of June, Friday, 10th of June, 1988. I was just 18 years old.
That's a
It
long
was
time ago.
published in the Punch newspaper.
Right.
And Punch newspaper is one of the leading newspapers in Nigeria. I was just 18 years old. I had an experience with a military man who came to our house, to deprive us. He practically robbed us. Robbed my father of his torchlight. Took things from us because he was wearing a military uniform. And I felt, and I've been reading the Punch newspaper and other newspapers. I've been seeing people writing letters to the editor, and so I summoned courage and I put my pen to paper. I wrote that article with my hand and I showed it to my cousin, Mr. Folajole Olagoke, to help me take a look at it. And he took a look at it for me and I sent it to the Punch. I never knew I would be published. I just felt, well, people are expressing how they felt, let me do that. So I went ahead and wrote it. And the truth of the matter is I sent it. And a few days after, like 2 weeks after, or 3 weeks after, or thereabout, the article was published. It was titled Soldier Molesters by Taiwo Akinlami. I couldn't believe my eyes. My name was in the print for the first time. And the truth of the matter is that since then, I've not stopped writing. And there's no major newspaper in Nigeria that I've not written for. Africa and Nigeria is the largest, is the biggest democracy, the largest population, the largest black nation on earth. There's no newspaper worth its name, the Vanguard, Guardian, Daily Independent, Champion newspaper, Business Day, name it. This day, I have, as a matter of fact, I've been a columnist in Business Day. I kept a column with them for 4 years. I've been a column also in Daily Independent and different newspapers. Now, my first books were published in 2010. In 2010, I put pen to paper and published 4 books, 4 small books. They were talking about the right of children to life, the right of children to protection. I wrote another one, which I later changed the name to Teacher Fire, Teacher as Social Workers. And so 4 books, and I wrote another one, The Right of Children to Life. And those were the 4 books that really, blew things up for me with UNICEF, because someone in UNICEF, I've been working with UNICEF before then, but someone in UNICEF saw those books and introduced me to a woman, Mrs. Akiroye, who found my content interested and began to, work with me in the area of child safeguarding and protection.
Okay, so now we're talking about the latest ones. I see transforming child discipline into a culture of discipline. Then there is The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, the journey from an erased childhood to transform adulthood. Are these 2 different books?
No, they are 2 different books.
Okay.
Now, so the second book, Transforming Child Discipline to the Culture of Discipline, is a spin-off from the first book. So I actually set out to write 1 book. And the book I set out to write was The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting. from uh, from the journey from an erased childhood to transform adulthood. That's what I set out to write. But as I was writing that book, I got to a chapter where I was talking, which I titled in the first book, the I was punished but not disciplined. And so I was writing that chapter. The more I wrote the chapter, the more bigger it became, because I realized that I have a whole lot to share on this subject matter of discipline of children. So as it was becoming, if the first book, which is the wisdom and burden of parenting, is 510 pages, 510 pages, So I saw that if I continue to put this other one in it, we're going to be going to like 800 pages, because that.
Okay. So this is what we'll do today. I will want us to focus on one of these books. Okay. Then in the next edition of Apex Snapshots, we get on the other one. Okay. So let's see. Let's talk about the burden and wisdom of parenting, which you say it's a comprehensive 21st century manifesto for family strengthening, security, a friendly and protective environment for children, and rights-based parenting. So, is this an autobiography? Is it a novel? Under what category would you place this book?
So it's autobiographic in nature. Okay. It's autobiographic in planning, in outlook, and in the delivery. But what I did,
as a matter of fact, it tells the story of your life.
Of my life, yes. But what I did is I'm a fan of autobiographies. I've read tons and tons of biographies, right? As a matter of fact, I prefer biographies to any self-help books. I read biography, I learn people's principles, people's life. They don't need to spell it out to say, this is my life, but when I read, I'm able to. So when I turned 40 in 14 years ago, I took a look at my life. I became a Christian at the age of 27, and I began to deal with the impact of my wrong upbringing. And so when I turned 40, I began to try to reminisce, put together all those things that I've reminisced upon about my childhood, the way I grew up, the good, the bad, the ugly. Most of it was ugly. And so when I wrote that book in 14 years ago, I did not publish it. I published it as an audio book. So this year, 14 years after, I just looked at the book. I said, okay, let me publish this book, as a book. I first published as a voice, as an audio book. And so when I set out to do that, now what I wrote, 14 years ago was a book that was divided into three. One, story. That's my story, what I went through. Then senses. Senses are the principles, right? Principles that I learned because of what I went through. Then we now have what I call stones. Stones are instructions. So I wrote the book as story. For example, what I went through as a child, I was sexually molested. So I say sex as innocence. That is the story. Then I moved to the principles. What are the principles that governed, that abuse? What was it that my parents could have done differently that could have protected me from being sexually molested? Then from there, I now move to stones. Stones are instructions to parents and to caregivers, to everybody working with children. And for every chapter, I now created what I call a manifesto. What is this manifesto? For example, under chapter 7, which is sex as innocence, I created for every chapter, I created a manifesto. The manifesto there is talking about how do we really teach child sexuality education. So I created a curriculum right there, which we call every part of my body is private to me. It's a trademark. So I created a curriculum, how to teach it. I created a comprehensive family, constitution. I created a comprehensive policy that you can follow. I did what I call definition of terms. What is child sexual abuse? Who is a child? What does the law say about it? So for every chapter, you have a massive manifesto that that you can work with. It's like a handbook. So in the
Mm-hmm.
book, you have my story, you have the senses, you have the stone. You now have an embedded handbook that you can use that can spur you to action,
Mm.
right? There's a chapter where I spoke about, physical abuse, which I said I was beat, I was punished, but not disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Then I shared the story, I shared the senses, I shared the stone, and I shared a manifesto of basic things that we need to pay attention to when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to working with children and this subject matter of child discipline. So what we have there is a compendium of a 510 pages of a compendium. It's like it has a biographical, plot and background, but it dovetails into self-help. So so that's why we call it the burden and wisdom of parent. Parenting
Mm.
comes with a lot of burden. And when we're talking about parents, let me quickly say, we're not talking only about biological parents. Parents in this instance, in the forward of the book, written by Mr. Olakunle Shoriyan, who were co-founders of the Power Parenting Company, he wrote extensively to make us understand that it is parenting there is about the fact that everyone who has influence on our children is a parent, including teachers,
Mm-hmm.
including people in the library, including neighbors, anyone, including non-living things like TV. Anyone who have influence on our children is a neighbor. That is very, very key. So those are fundamental issues that is the outlook of the book.
Hmm. That's a vast perspective there. Anyone who has influence on our children is a parent. I like that. We're listening to Apex One Radio. The show is Apex Snapshot, and we are receiving a book author this morning. Taiwo Akinlami is author of two new books, The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, and also transforming child discipline into a culture of discipline. Meantime, for those of you just joining us, I have in hand the latest hard copy of the New Americans magazine that was published last month, and it covers the New Americans Book Fair 2024 edition. So you may want to grab your own copy of this very beautiful magazine, whose publisher editor Deba Owadian is providing us with the necessary moral support on radio this morning. Now, Taiwo, I want us to pick a few concepts from your book and talk about briefly. If I go back to the title, I see erased childhood. That caught my attention. When you say erased childhood, does it mean that you did not have a childhood at all?
Well, when I use the word erased childhood, so as I said in the beginning, many of us were children, but we never experienced childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because childhood, being a children is a state. Childhood is an experience. Being a child is a fact of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Being a child is a fact of nature. But childhood is an experience. So
Mm-hmm.
you can be a child and not experience childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so because childhood stands on three pillars, as I've said. Number one, a childhood is a gift. So when you are a child and you are not treated as a gift to your parents,
Mm-hmm.
a gift does not come to make people sad. A gift does not come to make people miserable. A gift does not come to make people's life tough. Nobody gets a gift and begin to trample on the gift. You'll be told that you're ungrateful. Nobody gets a gift and begin to curse the person who gives them or had the gift. A child is a gift. We need to understand that as a gift, that gift is residing in a person who is of worth. Number one. Number two, who has a sense of judgment. It can
Mm-hmm.
determine between what is right or wrong. Number three, who has the power of choice and who is born to lead. Now, so when you don't recognize the gifts in childhood, you're not going to treat children that way. Number two, childhood is a foundation to be laid. The question, therefore, is that if you are a child who never experienced being prepared for the challenges of life, because you are not training me for today. We are not training children for today. Because today we are there to guide them. We are there to support them. We are training them for their future. We are laying the foundation of today so that when they get to their tomorrow, they will be in charge.
Beautiful. Let me just come in there and ask another question about childhood. Then we'll move to the next concept real quick. In 30 seconds, please. If somebody says they did not experience childhood, or their childhood was erased based on the fact that they did not have the means, like maybe they came from a very poor background where they saw other children who were privileged, would they be correct if they say that they didn't have a childhood just based on the fact that they came from a home that didn't have the means, survival means?
It's not. So it's not about how rich your parents are or how poor.
Okay.
It's about their consciousness of the fact that you are a gift. And it has nothing to do with being privileged or not being privileged. It has to do with a group of parents who understand that childhood is a state. It's a state, it's nature. Growth is guaranteed, but maturity has to be learned.
Beautiful. Okay, Taiwo, let's quickly move to the next one. I saw wisdom of parenting in the title of your book. Earlier in this conversation, you mentioned parents who have to be submitted into a system, into a structured system to be trusted. Now, let's say you are a parent and you are submitted into a structured system where the regulations are there. You need to follow the regulations while bringing up your child. Do you need any other wisdom? Or you just have to follow that system that has been structured for you?
Okay, a country has a constitution. A business has an agreement if you're into partnership. There's no relationship on earth that is just there. Even the British constitution that we say is unwritten, we know that there's a constitution. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
So all of these things are clear. Are you getting me? All of these things are clear. So when we now come to the homes, there must be certain rules and regulations. There must be certain value system that govern the affairs of the home. There must be family governance. The same way we have corporate governance, we have state governance, we have national governance. There must be family governance. So what I'm saying is that a trusted adult is an adult that has submitted himself or herself to the family governance. It can be a written constitution, it can be unwritten, but there are certain value system the family is committed to. And that value system determines the boundaries of what we do or what we do not do. Who can we keep our children with? Who can we not keep our children with? What are the things we can say to our children? What are the things we cannot say? Who can we relate with? Who can we not relate with? What exactly constitutes abuse or does not constitute abuse? At what point should my spouse be worried? What habit or attitude should I show that will make my spouse worried and my spouse should be worried? And when he or she is discussing with me, I cannot say, I'm just being myself. These are fundamental things. The other day, a woman came to me. It was the woman was telling me the husband, would just be naked in the room. The children are girls, and they would just be naked. And we are talking about 5 years old, 6 years old, 7-year-old girls. And we asked them to come and lie by his side. And he said she was not comfortable with it. I said, nobody should be comfortable with that, though you are their dad, but you are male. And it is important that you keep your private business private. You don't continue to show yourself, your nakedness to your children. It is not right. You are teaching them the wrong thing. You are letting them, you are violating their privacy by not respecting your own privacy. And you are setting them up for crisis. So families must have certain ethos, certain commitment. The only way we can say somebody is safe, is a responsible, is a trusted adult, is when such person submit himself or herself to this ethos, to these values. Anybody who does not submit himself to any of that or submit herself to any of that Children cannot safe around you. Then the second thing is that who are you accountable to? We can't be a parent that is not accountable to anything. Now, if you read the book, Showing Up for Life, let me just say that Showing Up for Life, Bill Gates' father will tell you about the families they are accountable to. Families come together for the purpose of sharing common values. Those families do retreat together. They do retreat. Now, sometimes it's even difficult for them to be able to come together. They come together, they go to work from their retreat because they want to be accountable to other parents who they are recognized, share common values with them. We can't be saved by saying we are numero uno, we know everything. No, children can only be saved around us when we submit ourselves to a process, and that process must be defined, and that is what I'm talking about there.
Children can only be safe around us when we submit ourselves to a process, and that process must be defined. And that process is what Taiwo is describing in The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting. So we'll be running off with you soon, Taiwo. Who is this book targeted at? Who should read it?
This book is targeted at primary parents, because we now have to. It's targeted at parents, primary parents, those who are raising their own children. It's targeted at policymakers, government. It's targeted at schools, religious places of worship. It's targeted at everybody who comes across children. It's targeted at anybody working with children, because what we have created is a compendium that tries to address all the issues. So if you are a parent, you read it, you will see what you're supposed to do. If you are a primary parent, if you are anything, if you are a leader, if you are a religious place of worship leader, anywhere you are in Nigeria, the books are being ordered by schools, in droves. Parents are picking it up, schools are picking it up, and one of the beautiful things that's happened is that somebody who read the book, who picked up the book in Nigeria, just called me and said, "You know what, Taiwo, I want to pay for 10 sets. I want to put this book in the hand of 10 people." And she paid for 10 people, Somebody says, "I want to put this book in the hand of 16 people." Somebody says, "I want to put this book in the hand of 4 people." So that's the kind of responses we have been getting since this book came out.
And if you have bought this book and read it, you may want to ensure that other people read it as well. So why not just buy more copies and distribute so that the message is spread extensively? So quickly, Taiwo, is this book written in chapters?
Yes, it's in chapters.
All right. So how many chapters does this one have?
19 chapters there.
19 chapters, and you said more than 500 pages.
510 pages.
510 pages. That would have been.
Well, you see, the beautiful thing about the book is that one by one, I think it's written in flowing prose. Then again, it's compartmentalized. I mean, you can choose to read. If you look through the table of content, you can choose to read.
So it means it's not written in chronological form, so you can pick from anywhere.
Well, you can pick, yes. It's beautiful if you read it chronologically, but if you can't read it chronologically, you can go to the table of content and pick areas that you want to work on immediately, yes.
Does it have footnotes?
No, there are no footnotes.
Okay, which means that the English in the book is quite simple and understandable.
It's very simple. I mean, we didn't give our readers a lot of work to do.
Let us talk about the cover. I see the cover is really personalized. We have the author on the cover.
Yes.
Whose concept is that and why?
Well, it's my concept. As I told you, I've read a lot of autobiographies because it's my story. I see, autobiographers, having their picture as the mascot and as the poster person of the book. So that's why I did that. And because the second book is a spin-off, that's why I also put my picture there, because all of these things are predicated on my story. But for the fact that I experienced what I experienced, I wouldn't have had the story to write. So it's both of them are basically biographical in nature.
So I had this opportunity at the New Americans Book Fair to hold this book, right? To have a feel of it. So it's so beautiful. The cover is hard. The quality is really, really good. Yeah. So tell us about what it took you to come out with this quality work.
Well,
money.
It took us resources because right now we are self-published. it took us resources, it took us time, energy. It took us everything, because putting it together within the period within which we put it together, this has been in the works since I became a Christian, trying to compile my ideas, my thoughts, and all of that. And for the first time 14 years ago, I put it to paper. And it has taken me the whole of my second half of my adulthood to figure this out.
So we're talking about almost 14 years to...
About 14 years to figure that. I would say that, yes, to figure it out and finally present it in this format. And it's still working.
Which means there are books you have started and completed while this project is going on.
I've written 4 volumes of book on how to start conversation with your children. It's on Amazon. While this was on, I've written a book on how to inculcate value in your children. Is on Amazon. I've published like 10 sets, 10 editions of comic, that we published. So a whole lot has happened before we got here.
So before September 21st, when this book was exhibited at the New Americans Book Fair, had you had any public outing with it?
Yes, I had public outing. I was in Nigeria when it was released on the 1st of September. And so I went from place to place, like sort of a book tour, in Nigeria, trying to familiarize people with the book. But my journey was very short because I had a very short time to spend in Nigeria. And so we are still, in the process of, reaching out to more people, about the book.
That's beautiful. And so do you have any plans to do more book signing events?
Yes, we intend to do that in the US, Columbus, Ohio. We are looking at the possibility of a book signing. We're going to be reaching out to you. It's also important to note that you are acknowledged in this book. Your contribution to our work, did not go unnoticed. I think I wrote one of the I think Guinness Book of Records should look at one of the most voluminous acknowledgements written for any book. I mean, I because it's a 27-year project, and I've come across people in the last 14 years that have been part of my life. So I acknowledge everybody who I can remember has been part of our story. Our story in Nigeria, our story when we moved a part of our business to the US, and you stand out yourself, Mr. Diba, and a couple of other people stood out in holding our hands, in supporting us to do what we are doing, being passionate about it. When you saw the book, you were the one who reached out to me to say, let's discuss this on radio. And that kind of spirit is appreciated, and we don't take it for granted. And that's why we took time to acknowledge yourself, Mr. Diba, Okon, and a couple of other people who have been of tremendous support to us, in this journey.
I'm going to ask you this quick question, which may be a little bit scientific. That is because you fall under another category of writers. I mean, writers who write for a purpose, not just to entertain people. And you're writing, you do some research. So how are you going to track the impact of this book on its audience?
How am I going to
track the impact on its audience?
Well, that may be tough, but I've taken time to listen to individual testimonies.
Okay.
And for example, somebody who ordered 10 sets, for people around. As a matter of fact, what she did was to say, I'm paying for 10 sets, give them to people. I really love this work, right? So testimonies of people, what people have said about the book. The book is still new. I think it's barely 1 month, that we released it. So what we intend to do, we welcome people to talk about the impact of the book on them. The truth of the matter again about the book is the fact that these are principles that helped me. I was a wreck when I met Christ in 1997. I was a shadow of myself, but Christ took me from who I was then and has transformed my life, and is still transforming my life. And when we talk about transformation through Christ, it is not a fluke. It is principle based. It's not by yelling some gibberish. It is Christ's transformation is principle based. And so these are the principles I've chosen to share. What has worked for me? I'm the #1 guinea pig in my own laboratory of change.
Mm-hmm.
I am standing today to be who I am, to make the impact that I'm making, because there was an interception to the childhood that was erased.
Mm-hmm.
And so those principles that one of the reasons why I'm sure that these principles will work for those who practice it, because it worked for me. This is me here. I knew I used to be at the age of 27. I was not being governed by any principle. I was not being governed by anything. My life was just loose. But between then and now, I've witnessed a form of transformation that, even looking back, I did not know such transformation is possible. And so, if it has worked for me, I'm the number one guinea pig, it can work for anyone who is interested in following these principles. Please note, I'm just a messenger of the principles. I'm not the maker of the principles. These are universal principles which God created to govern the affairs of this world. So
the
I'm
messenger of the principle.
I'm first a beneficiary of those principles, and I now became the messenger of the principles. So basically,
the messenger of the principle who has been transformed into who is a transformed adult today. Taiwo Akinlami is his name, author of The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting, the journey from an erased childhood to transformed adulthood. Right, Taiwo, we're about to run off this conversation so we can take on our next guest, who is right here with me in the studio. So Columbus city dwellers, wherever they are in this city, can drive 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes to meet Taiwo and pick up a physical copy of their book, and even have it autographed by you. But people who do not live in Columbus and who do not live in the United States,
on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. Two books, both of them are available on Amazon. You can order on Amazon. Amazon will print a copy and send to you. It's available for print on Amazon.
All right. So what is the cover price of the book?
Well, I think it's on Amazon. I think it's $32 for this one. The other one is $25 or so.
Beautiful. Well, Taiwo,
for those who are picking it up physically from us, we give it away for $50 for both books.
That's beautiful. We can talk about this book from now till tomorrow, and the conversation will keep on being interesting. We will have it suspended for now, and we'll come back during the next edition of Apex Snapshots to continue talking about your books, especially the second one, which is transforming child.
And the principle I'm sharing there is very simple, that we cannot talk about child discipline without talking about the culture of discipline.
Okay.
Because the child is not the only imperfect being in the family. Number two, children just copy our example. So if you want to talk about discipline, we should start with the example that we are showing to children. Basically, that is the cross of that book.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much, Taiwo, for joining us on radio. It was a pleasure talking with you. Do have a fantastic rest of the weekend. And like I promised, we'll continue this conversation perhaps next week or the week after. Thank you so much. Do have a fantastic rest of the weekend. But before you go away, apparently you have an online event this weekend. I know you are always educating the public, So tell us about it briefly before you go.
No, on the 25th and 26th, we have our annual conference, Women Working with Children. And the focus of the program is, in all my life, I've worked with children, but the people I work with most are women, right? Women are in the forefront of raising children anywhere in the world, most parts of the world. So who is encouraging these women? Who is empowering them? Who is strengthening them? So that's why we created that program 6 years ago. So this year, we're going to be talking about the right of children to play. What role do women play, in that? So we have the assistant police superintendent, Lachana Port in Columbus, Ohio, is going to be speaking at that program. We have a couple of other people from Africa is going to be speaking at that program. We are looking at hosting 2,000 parents, 2,000 women, 2,000. As of today, we have close to 1,000 people have registered for that program, and it's still going. And so we're looking forward to a great day. It's virtual. It's happening virtually.
Perfect. We'll follow up on that,
Thank you
Taiwo.
very much.
Thank you so much and good luck. Have a nice day.
Bye for now. Okay, bye.
Beautiful. This is Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio, and we were speaking there with book author Taiwo Akinlami, who came on radio today to talk about one of his new books he just published, The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting. And we will move over briefly to talk gospel music. Then we have a special studio guest who will definitely say one or two things, and we'll grab that opportunity that Deba Owaje is here in the studio to ask him one or two questions. Well, Florence, welcome to the show. Pick up your headsets. Let's talk music, and of course, the launching of your album. How are you doing today?
Oh, good.
You want to use your microphone, Florence? How are you doing today? How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Okay, welcome.
Yes,
All
thank you.
right. So, Flozy is a gospel artist par excellence. She's not new here on Apex One Radio. She's been with us on this station for a very long time now. And so Florence will proceed to launch her latest album on October the 19th. That is next Saturday. Am I correct?
Yes.
Tell us about this album. What album are we talking about? And how many albums do you have, by the way?
I have two albums.
Two albums and so many singles.
Mm.
Right. So which of the albums are you launching on Saturday next week?
Wonder Working God.
Wonder Working God. So how many songs are on this album?
It's about 7.
7 songs. Okay. Do you mind giving us the titles of some of those songs, please?
Yes, the one is Wonder Working God.
Mhm.
Then you have Creation, Carry Me Go,
Mhm.
Fruitful Harvest,
Mhm.
Take Me.
Mhm.
Then you have Child of Purpose, and You Save Me.
Mhm. Okay, that's beautiful. 7 songs, right?
Yes.
All right. So one of the key songs of this album is what is the title of the song that was shot in Dubai? That is what is the title of that song, please?
I shot 2,
Hmm.
In Love with You.
Okay. So we're talking about the main one whose video is out already.
Yes, In Love with You.
In Love with You.
Mhm.
All right. And so when I went through YouTube this morning, I guess it was 1.1 million views, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So In Love with You is the key song of the album, which Flozy will be launching Saturday next week. If you go to YouTube as we speak, that track counts 1.1 million YouTube views. That is massive. Florence, how do you feel about that? Well, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm so much excited. I thank God for that.
Mhm. So, what has been the reaction from people, especially the ones who usually get in touch with you and speak with you? What are they saying about that track?
Well, people love quality stuff,
Mhm.
no matter what. If you give them like what they are expecting,
Mhm.
they will vibe into it.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so, In Love with You was done sometimes. Was it this year or last year? I guess last year, right?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, last year. The video was shot in Dubai. It now counts. It now counts 1.1 million views on YouTube, and that video is directed by Jay Banks. Beautiful video. I would enjoy you to go to YouTube and watch it. So, tell us a little bit about this album with 7 songs. Has the album been officially released?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's gonna be officially released the 19th of October this
Okay.
year.
Right. So, how long did it take you to complete this album?
Well, it's within a year.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
And
takes.
some of the songs in the album were previously released as singles, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so you've put all of that together, and you will release it in the form of an album, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, The release will take place in Columbus, Ohio on the 19th. So tell us why Columbus, Ohio, and not Freetown, Sierra Leone?
Eh, well, I'm launching in Columbus, Ohio, because
Mhm.
it's the state where I'm living, and
Okay.
these people, they are just too phenomenal. They are just too, I don't know what to
Support.
say about my Columbus people.
Mhm.
I celebrate you. They love my music. They are vibing into my music, dancing to my music. The DJs, I salute you that are playing my music. African Wall, they love my music.
Mhm.
That's one thing, and they inspire me. I will be having like a lot of texts.
Mhm.
You know, some of them are like my motivation.
Mhm.
They always like push me to do bigger things.
Mhm. I shouldn't have even asked that question because it's a very long time since Florence did an event in Columbus. I remember the last time she did was probably in 2018 or 2019 when she did the Mercy Me Global Foundation Awards,
Mm.
which was really big and massively attended. So she's coming back this time for the launching of her second album, In Love with You, which will take place Saturday, October the 19th this year. It's going to be a big event, and there are echoes of artists and people who will be thronging into Columbus, Ohio next Saturday for these events, including the entire Sierra Leonean community in this state and, of course, the country at large. So, how prepared are you for this event? How is it going to look like, by the way? So, what do we have on the agenda of the day? If people are coming to Columbus, what do they expect to see?
Well, I'm well prepared for this launching. I tell you, the kind of joy I'm having, it's gonna be big for real. And looking at the cooperation of people, we are the one. Most of them tickets. They are selling tickets.
Mhm,
The kind of momentum is really encouraging. I'm much more ready. Can't wait
mhm,
to give them the best.
mhm. All right. So, what you're saying is that you're going to have other artists featuring on the program on that day, which means other gospel musicians will be performing to accompany you on this event, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, we may like to know some of them. Who are some of these artists who will be mounting the stage on that day?
Well, I have Minister TK all the way from Sierra Leone,
Mhm,
Minister Janet Dennis from the Liberian community. I have so many people. Wise's son,
mhm,
Christo Wizo. It's a lot. The package is so big that I don't want you to miss this program. You will enjoy. It's not
mhm.
only album launching, but it's also singer feast.
Okay. All right. So,
Mhm.
so you'll be celebrating singing.
Mhm.
Okay, that's beautiful. All right, and so it happens on October the 19th this year. It is a Saturday. Flozy will be presenting her second album to the public of Columbus and of course the state of Ohio at large, with a great event which she'll be putting up on stage, and she'll be accompanied by scores of other gospel musicians. All right. Okay. So tell us about how that album how you expect that album to like after that launching. What next? Do you have plans to maybe tour with this album to other places?
Yes, I do. um I'm gonna tell most of the songs are trending. People love them. It's different from hearing song than being on stage. When you're on stage, it carries a whole lot of weight. So I would love to travel all over the world and showcase my talents, and it's gonna be big.
All right. So singer feast. All right. So it's going to be a feast for singers as well, and it's happening on October the 19th here in Columbus, Ohio. The address to the venue of that event is 6360 Bush Boulevard, Columbus, Ohio 43229. 6360 Bush Boulevard, Columbus, Ohio 43227. So if you live in Columbus and its environs, you are invited. Please just ride to that venue on Saturday at 5 p.m. That's when the event is going to start,
Red
correct?
carpet.
Red carpet begins at 5 p.m. You
Mhm.
want to be there at that time so you can enjoy
Radio
this.
interview. Apex will be there too.
Definitely, there'll be a live coverage of that event by Apex One Radio. We will have people on the red carpet as well who will be doing entry interviews for guests to that event. So the album launch takes place again on October the 19th. Okay, so I want us to go back briefly to that album. It has
Mhm.
7 songs, and some of these songs have been previously released as singles, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us how these singles have been doing, in the market. How are people responding to them?
Yeah. They have been doing good.
Mhm,
You know. Each and every song has its own impact in the life of people.
mhm,
Yes. Based on the situation they are going through. Like wonder working God,
mhm,
like a lot of people when they are stressed, they really want God to
mhm,
move in their lives. They play that song. I have so many testimonies, like, the kind of feeling they are having when they play that song. If only you position yourself and you're ready to receive, like, great things will happen in your life. It's not about just playing gospel music, it's not about singing,
mhm,
but you have to, like, be opened and ready for a change, or ready for a shift, or ready for like a breakthrough in your life as you are playing the music. Because, like, most of these artists, especially when it comes to gospel, they spend time. This is like inspirational songs that will bring like so many, healing, breakthrough, like a lot of things.
mhm,
So it's good you position yourself. Like a lot of testimonies I'm having. Yeah, you can feel the vibes of the song. Yeah.
mhm. Beautiful. This show is supported by Bold Step Essentials, which offers you a wide variety of cosmetic and electronic products, and for your cosmetic products uh, including beauty products for makeup and lotions and soap, please contact Bold Step Essentials. You may want to just pick up your phone and dial 614-282-0640. 614-282-0640. Get Bold Steps Essentials for your cosmetic and electronic products. Then come back to Apex One Radio and tell us about it. This is Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio. We will be running off soon, and we have gospel artist Flozy here, who is on radio today to talk about the launching of her second album, which takes place in 7 days. That is on October the 19th this year, and it's going to be a fantastic event. She also dubs it at as a singer feast, so there'll be a lot of singing on that day. So the event starts at 5, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So who are you expecting to be there?
Oh, I'm expecting a lot of people,
Mhm,
both great and small, every kind of people, young and old.
mhm.
I'm expecting everybody. Everybody's invited. Oh my God. Can't wait to see you guys.
Okay.
Yes, I don't have doubts about my Columbus people. I just trust in you. I know the kind of support you always give
Mhm.
to my music.
Beautiful. And so you have the opportunity of watching Floxidel perform live on stage, and I guess that is her strength. That is the beautiful part of her. She's wonderful on stage, especially for those of you who have uh, w- been watching her videos. This would be a golden opportunity for her to watch her live on stage. That will be Saturday, October the 19th, 2024. All right. So, do you want to reiterate the date, the time, and what else do you expect from them? Are you going to expect something like support, or just tell us?
Yes, I'm expecting you guys to tell your friends, bring along your family
Mhm.
and to the concerts. I want everybody to be part of this. Show up, you will never regret it.
Mhm.
And if you want tickets, you can get it online or you call me, you can get it. Can give you, I can step on your house or
Okay.
right at your door to give you your ticket, or you can come and buy tickets at the gate
All
too.
right. Talk about the tickets. So, how many categories of tickets do you have? Oh, it's just
We have $50,
okay.
then we have $100 for
Mhm.
patron,
Okay.
then double is $85.
Okay. All right, beautiful. So $50 is like a regular ticket for everybody.
Yes.
All right, so entry is $50 for regular ticket. Then $100 will be for seniors.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Then doubles will be $85.
Mhm.
All right, so three different categories of tickets. Pick up anyone you prefer and be part of that event. Your presence is what matters more. All right. So, want to thank you so much for joining us on radio today, Flozy Dell. We will be there on Saturday to see how it rolls. Maybe before you leave us, and since you are here with us live in the studio, we would
Mm.
want to have a bite of what people should be expecting on Saturday. So, do you mind giving us an acapella before we run off this conversation?
Yeah, so you guys will be so you it's gonna be a fun, it's gonna be so inspiring. I tell you, I released like two music I did in Dubai that's are trending right now. One of them, You Saved Me. Hallelujah. You Saved Me is a very powerful song.
Okay.
Eh,
Perfect. All right. Well, so let's reserve the rest for Saturday at Bush Boulevard, 6360 Bush Boulevard, Columbus, Ohio, 43229. It's just 2 or 3 minutes away from the studio of Apex One Radio. But if you live at the east side of Columbus, then it will take you, I mean, just over 20 minutes to get there. But then make it at 6360 Bush Boulevard, Columbus, Ohio, 43229 on Saturday, October the 19th. The event begins at
Amen.
5 p.m. I want to thank you so much for coming to talk about this, Flozy Dell. And we have a fantastic event. All right, so that's how we're running off with our artists on radio today. We will be doing the third phase of this show with the publisher editor of the New Americans magazine, Deba Owadie, who will be joining us shortly for a very short radio conversation before we run off this edition of the show, Deba, whom I'm inviting to join us on this platform. Meantime, for those of you just joining us, thank you so much. This is Apex Snapshot on Apex One Radio. We're doing the edition of the 12th of October 2024. 7 days to the launching of Flozy In Love With You album, which takes place on October the 19th this year. Earlier, we spoke to Taiwo Akinlami. Taiwo is the author of this great book, The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting. Right. And so thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on radio. With me here is the publisher editor of New Americans magazine, which has stood the test of time there. This magazine has traveled a long journey for a couple of years now and has conveniently implanted itself as the leading media organization in the immigrant community in the state of Ohio. I mean it in the entire state of Ohio. Deba, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How is the New Americans magazine doing as we speak?
Yeah, it's doing very well, and
Okay.
we are getting a lot of support, especially innovation in printing. Now we are getting sponsors, who are supporting the print edition of the New Americans magazine, and we just want to encourage more organizations to use that opportunity, to seize that opportunity to make sure that the print is supported, and also it can be distributed wider than it is right now.
Do you remember the exact month this magazine was first released?
Yeah, it was July 2016. In fact, July 4th, 2016. It was on Independence Day, July 4th of 2016.
July 2016. Did you imagine that in October 2024, this magazine would still be existing, given the circumstances which you and I know?
Yeah, the way it was then, it was just a newsletter, just 4 pages, and we were distributing, going around. But I didn't expect it to become, the size that it is right now, and also to have attracted, high-profile advertisers, like the Park National Bank and other banks that are on the line right now to support the publication.
So, what has kept this project going on?
Yeah, it's just the determination, that is started it, and the dream, and we wanted a publication that will serve the immigrant, the New American community. We wanted to be the voice, of the New American community, and that is what continue to drive us, because we realize that a lot of times, the New American community or the immigrant community, in the media is not really projected the way, things are. There's this negative, thing that come with it, especially when, politicians want to use it for campaign. But I tell you, the community is very hardworking. The community is very positively driven. And so that's what continue to drive us, that, we need to project what this community is doing, what it's all about, and how they've been contributing to growth and development, not just in Columbus, but Ohio and the rest of America.
So, apart from its editorial brilliance, the New Americans magazine has had a tremendous impact on society and the immigrant community. And today, I think people are looking at this magazine more of, far beyond just a magazine that publishes
Exactly.
story, but as a tool in uh, the development of the community. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, like like the initial question you asked, where would it did I expect it to get to this, you know, stage that it is now? It makes me, it's such an encouragement to have gotten the magazine to this level where it's not just a magazine, but it's like the way we've been
A vehicle
going.
of development.
Exactly, a vehicle of development. And so that is why we've been involved in other things like creating a platform for the New Americans, authors, artists, and all that through the New Americans Book Fair, which is an annual event. You are part of it, and so we've done it the third year consistently. And we have libraries that are on the line, asking us to come, host the New American Book Fair in their locations. But it's just the way that it has become a movement and how it has inspired other organizations, New American organizations that are coming up, and it's something I also want to use this opportunity to mention Apex One Radio for the support, ever since we started, and also how we've been able to do things together, which has led to what in the pipeline right now. I don't know whether to say it now, but I know Apex One Radio is going to play a very major role in it, which is why I'm visiting media houses that belong to New Americans to see how we can collaborate and do things better, make better impact, in the community. And that's why I'm starting the New American Media Alliance, where all the media houses or media organizations in starting from Columbus come together to share stories, to share ideas, and then to contribute to growth and development of the community.
You're right. So tell us more about the New Americans Media Alliance, which you just mentioned. So tell us what is the motivation for
The
that?
motivation is Apex One Radio because when I remember when I was going to start the New American Book Fair, I invited you, Apex One Radio, and said, this is what I want to do. And the way you embraced it. And I noticed how we've been able to succeed, since we started doing it together collaboratively, you play your role and I play my role. And to also notice that Ohio Somali television, came in and they started doing, giving the support.
Right.
So I thought to myself this year, and I said, we can support one another, just individual, but we can come as a group, where we share a lot of things, especially stories. I have opportunity of covering the State House as a member of the Ohio Legislative Correspondents Association. I get a lot of stories from the government, where and from the House where they make policies, and so I can share it with other media houses, Apex One Radio, Ohio Somali Television, Dalma TV, and even the African One Radio that is there. So I thought of that and I said, look, we need to come together, share this, and not just that, we can make impact in recognizing people who are doing so much in the society, like what stops us from having the New American Media Alliance Gala, where we recognize New Americans that have contributed to growth and development in the community, which I saw as NAMA award, so things like that. There are other things, where we can, host people on a town hall meeting, for them to let us know, what they are doing, and even inviting people who are aspiring to become something to serve, where we can host them and as a group,
and even organize press conferences.
Yes, exactly, for people. Talk and share
information. Journalists are able to
exactly
ask their questions.
Yes,
right.
So that is why so it's something that I'm really looking forward to really getting your support, getting other media executive support, so that we can drive it and make it a success in first of all here in Columbus, and also the United States of America.
The new American Media Alliance is on the way, and one thing about Deba is when he says it, he does it, and he's made great inroads into this community, and of course has a very structured and strong mindset when it comes to things like this. We'll be looking forward to that, and of course when things do happen, we will be back on our respective media platforms to inform the public of yet another initiative. Well, Deba, I want to thank you so much for coming. Apart from the new Americans Media Alliance, what else is in the pipeline?
I want to invite members of the public to the Nigerian Arts and Culture Day,
yes,
which is on the 19th at the Northern Light Library, which is 4093 Cleveland Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, the Metropolitan Library, on Cleveland Avenue. It's 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. People can come around just to come and experience Nigerian arts and culture. A lot of things will be there, and there's also free food. Nigerian food.
So this is in commemoration of
Nigeria Independence Day,
okay,
which was October 1. So in Columbus here, the several Nigerian organizations are coming together to host Columbus community that day on October 19th, Saturday, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Northern Light Library.
All right. So the Arts and Culture Celebration of Nigeria as the country turns 64. It takes place on Saturday, October the 19th at 4093 Cleveland Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43224. The venue is Northern Lights. That's Columbus Metropolitan Library, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the event will take place as from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we'll have fashion, arts, music, exhibition, and other things. Well, let me ask you this question as a journalist: how much contribution has arts and culture had on the growth of Nigeria as a nation these past 64 years?
Oh, tremendously. Today, people, especially when you look at, our music, it's become a global music. And, though it started, a while, but these days, global music is not complete without the Afro music, which is led by Nigerian musicians. And also in the past, we've had a Nobel Prize winner from Nigeria in literature, Wale Soyinka. Wale Soyinka, and we know also how Chinua Achebe made tremendous impact in Africa with his books as well. And Nigeria has continued to make that impact in arts and culture, leading the rest of Africa.
Let me ask you this last question, which could be a tough one. We've seen the Nigerian film industry grown over the years and has been very resilient. Even with the advent of the digital media, Nollywood has still stood its ground. Then we've also seen Nigerian music grown globally. And at some point, from a typical analytical point of view, one would think that this success would put Nigeria in a very good standing economically, right?
Yep.
But we still hear a lot of complaints about Nigerians still complain a lot. Whereas one would have thought that with this advancement, with this achievement in art and culture, that country will not be complaining, especially in terms of the economy. So what's going on?
Yeah, that is why you need, structure, a very well organized structure where, all these gains, can be applied to make the economy better.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you don't have that.
So is it a leadership problem?
Yeah, that's what I say, organized structure. So it's a leadership, are they looking at that? Are they tapping into that? Are they using it? We know countries that have used this, like
South
India, South Africa, how they've used the opportunity that comes from it. So that what we need is, for us to identify that and start using it so that it can affect economy, it can affect growth, it can affect development. That is all we need.
Well, Deba, we can have this conversation for as long as we can, but we'll end here for now. But just before we go away, how can people read the New Americans magazine? And when next are you having a hard copy of it?
Yeah, it's online on New Americans, the newamerikansmag.com.
Okay.
And so you can get it there every day. Monthly, it now is bi-monthly.
Okay.
And so you
for the printed copy.
For the print.
Okay.
For the print is bi-monthly. So it can be subscribed to, or you can get it in any of the library because we have spots in the libraries, where you go, you ask for New Americans magazine, they will bring it out for you.
Oh, that's interesting. But for the online version, it's
every day
daily updates.
Yeah, and all people who want to be on the who are on the WhatsApp, can give us a call on 614-726-0917 so that we can add them on the broadcast list, where we broadcast right now to 62 communities.
Well, Deba, you have a legacy already, and this is so wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. And in the next couple of days, we'll get back on this platform and discuss more of these projects that are coming up.
Thank you very much.
All right. So that's how we're putting a full stop to this edition of Apex Snapshots, during which time we received three Africans who are contributing enormously to the growth of not only the continent back there, but of course the continent's community abroad. We had Deba Waide, editor, publisher of the New Americans magazine and founder of the New Americans Book Fair. Deba just announced a project that is in the pipeline. We had Taiwo Akinlami, book author and author of The Burden and Wisdom of Parenting. Then Flozy was here to talk about the launching of her second album, which takes place Saturday next week. That is October the 19th. Well, from producer Marcel and collaborator Rawlings-Talent, my name is Ernest, Kanjo, wishing you a fantastic rest of the weekend. And we will see you in the next couple of days when we come back live on radio. Bye for now and have a blessed weekend.